Heartwarming. How a poor girl's unexpected kiss transformed a millionaire actor's life forever. The sun dipped low over Maplewood, casting a golden glow across the diner's weathered sign, where Johnson's Diner flickered like a beacon of hope. At 17, Lily Johnson wiped her hands on her apron and smiled at the hustle of the dinner crowd. It was an ordinary day in her small Midwestern town, but within those ordinary walls, magic was about to unfold, a magic intertwined with dreams, love, and the unforgiving truths of life. Every shift at the diner was long. The grease and chatter intertwined as customers flowed in and out, yet Lily soaked up every moment, each conversation a spark for her writing dreams. When the door swung open, the bell tinkled, and in walked a man who seemed out of a storybook, Aiden Cole, a millionaire actor who had graced more red carpets than she could count. Dismissive whispers buzzed around like wasps. What is he doing here? But Lily stood rooted, a collision of feelings racing through her. As Aiden took a seat at the counter, the aroma of fresh coffee wafted around them. His eyes scanned the diner, and when they landed on her, there was a spark. She felt it. It flared between them like fireworks. "Coffee, please," he said with an easy smile that could melt mountains. When she poured it, their fingers brushed. The small connection shot warmth through her heart, leaving her breathless. "Nice place you've got here," Aiden said, tipping his head towards the woven baskets of bread that adorned the counter. But Lily couldn't shake the feeling that he was searching for something beyond a good cup of joe. "Thanks, it's home," she replied, surprising herself with the boldness. With every word, they shared stories, laughter, glimpses of lives lived far apart. Aiden's laughter was genuine, unfiltered by the pretenses of his Hollywood world. The contrast between his glittering persona and her everyday worries tugged at her heart. Despite their differences, a thread of vulnerability wove them closer, and before she knew it, she leaned in, drawn by an unseen force. Their lips met, the kiss a jolt of raw emotion. Time stopped, the clatter of dishes faded, and for an instant, the diner fell silent, held captive by the intensity of their connection. It was a fleeting moment, but the weight of it stirred something deep inside both of them. This was transformation, raw and unplanned. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But life's complications rushed in like a storm cloud. Lily's family feared that loving someone wealthy might splinter their closeness. Aiden wrestled with his own demons, haunted by the expectations and judgments that followed him relentlessly. Just as they ventured into the unknown depths of their connection, a scandal erupted in Aiden's world, splashed across every screen and magazine. Caught between his glittering lifestyle and Lily's warm, hard-working life, Aiden felt the weight of judgment pressing down like a heavy blanket. Yet, through the chaos, he found solace in her quiet strength. In that small diner, where warmth filled every corner, he glimpsed a life rich with kindness, ambition, and deep-rooted connections. However, just as they seemed to spark a chance at love, pressure mounted. Doubts clawed at Lily's heart, and Aiden was left naked, stripped bare by public scrutiny. Lily stood at the diner door that night, watching the man who had unexpectedly become her heart's reflection. Then she spotted a familiar car pull up. The past had arrived. Aiden's expression twisted, and uncertainty washed over her. Was their love strong enough to break through societal walls, or would the world force them apart? The door closed on possibility, but one thing was certain: this was only the beginning of their journey. Lily's breath caught in her throat as the sleek black car rolled to a stop outside Johnson's Diner. Her heart raced, not just from the sight of Aiden's face contorting in turmoil, but from the strange familiarity of the car's occupants. It was his past, laid bare before her. Aiden's voice broke through the din, shaky as if caught between a rock and a hard place. She didn't know whether to comfort him or step back in self-preservation. He had entered her world like a sparkler lighting up the night, and now it felt as though a storm was crashing in. The door swung open, and a tall figure stepped out. Aiden's former manager, Max, strode across the pavement with a purpose that turned heads. Behind him, a figure with long, blonde hair emerged, holding onto a bouquet of the most vibrant roses. Lily recognized her instantly. Hannah, a former flame of Aiden's, whose face belonged on every magazine cover. The whispers followed them like a shadow, settling into the stares from nearby customers. Aiden ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched on his face. Not now, he muttered under his breath. But it was too late. The moment hung in the air like a thick fog, and it twisted Lily's stomach into tight knots. "Thought we'd come to see how you're doing in Maplewood," Max called out, his tone laced with sarcasm as he shot a glance at Lily. A thin smile stretched across his face, one that held 1,000 judgments. Aiden's world was rearing its ugly head, and she felt exposed. Lily wanted to vanish into the walls of the diner. She tried to meet Aiden's gaze, hoping for a flicker of reassurance, but the look on his face told her everything. Sorrow mixed with panic danced across his features. He was trapped between two worlds, and she was the bridge that felt more like a tightrope. "What is going on?" she finally asked, her voice shaky. The warmth of their earlier connection seemed replaced by a chilling doubt. The laughter, the kiss, all felt like distant memories now. "Aiden, you should really consider coming back to LA, Max insisted, stepping closer and ignoring her entirely. "We've got offers waiting. You can't waste your time in a diner." The reality of it clawed at Lily. She was just the poor girl, a temporary distraction in a world of glitz. Aiden's life loomed ahead of him, with opportunities she could never offer. She could feel the walls closing in, a desperate urge to flee bubbling up within her. But then, she caught Aiden's eye, and everything froze. In that moment, she saw raw desperation mixed with undeniable affection. "I'm not wasting time," he finally replied, stepping forward. "This is important." Lily took a shaky breath, heart pounding, as she stepped beside him. It felt like an act of defiance against both the storm and the pressures pressing in from all sides. "What is this, Aiden? Is it worth it?" The questions hung between them, heavy with possibility. He looked at her, searching for words, and she felt the heat of that kiss, fragile but vibrant enough to still exist between them. But the moment was heavy with a cost. As the roses trembled in Hannah's hands, Lily realized that choices lay ahead that would define them both. This was no longer just about love, it was about courage. Just then, Aiden's phone buzzed, pulling him back to reality. He glanced at the screen, face going pale. They've released a statement. His voice trailed off, the weight of calamity crashing through the diner as people turned in unison to look at him. "What statement?" Lily pressed, fear creeping in. Was this all about to unravel? As eyes bore down on them, she knew they were teetering on the edge of a precipice. Would they plunge together or grow apart as the world dictated their paths? The air was thick with uncertainty, and as Aiden's phone buzzed again, it felt like the earth shifting beneath their feet. What truth awaited him? And would it be the final nail in the coffin of their connection, or the spark to ignite a fire that could burn through anything? Lily watched Aiden's expression morph from worry to something akin to defeat. The buzz of his phone echoed in her ears, a constant reminder of the unseen world that spiraled just out of reach. Each pulse of vibration felt like a countdown, a ticking clock drawing them closer to whatever bombshell awaited him. "Do you want to see it?" Aiden's voice wavered, the question both a request and a command, as he turned his phone to her. She saw panic dance across his features, flickering beneath the surface like a candle caught in the wind. It wasn't just about the statement. It was about their reality, his world colliding with hers in a way she never expected. "Maybe you shouldn't," she breathed, her own heart racing. The rose bouquet in Hannah's hand seemed to mock them, a blossom of what could have been. "I need to know," he insisted, eyes locked on hers. With a shaky hand, Lily took his phone. The statement jumped out at her, harsh and unyielding. Aiden Knox faces backlash over recent relationship decisions. The words felt like ice shards piercing her gut. Images flashed through her mind, those stolen moments, their laughs, their secret kisses, but suddenly, it felt cheapened, laid bare for the world to judge. "Look at them." Aiden's voice was barely audible, choked with emotion. "I'm not who they think I am." But she felt herself pulling back. "Maybe they're right about me. I'm just stop." He stepped closer, desperation lacing his voice. Don't you see? This isn't about that. A whirlwind of chaos surrounded them. The whispering diners, the phone cameras flashing from the corner booths, and Hannah's curious eyes sizing her up, it all created a haze of confusion. Would they be seen as a romance built on shaky ground? Would she forever be just the girl in his story? What do you want, Aiden? She asked, her voice trembling as she kept her gaze steady on him, willing him to reveal what was in his heart. Do you want to go back to that life? For what? To be miserable? He shook his head, anger flaring in his eyes. I don't care about that. I care about you being with you. She wanted to believe him, yet the stakes felt too high. Fear of losing this fragile connection, the one that felt like a lifeline, coiled tight in her chest. But you could have it all, and I'm just stop saying that. He grabbed her hand, grounding her in the moment. The warmth of his grip ignited something deep within her, battling against the chill of uncertainty. We can fight this together. Lily inhaled sharply, the vulnerability of the moment crashing over her. Could they really withstand the scrutiny? Would their love hold strong against the harsh winds of judgment? Before she could respond, a sudden shout from Max broke the fragile bubble they had formed. This is a show, Aiden. You need to play your part. Lily's gaze snapped to him. Another reminder of the world Aiden was tied to, the world that wanted to define their relationship, control their choices. It was sobering, the ugly reality posed in stark contrast to their stolen moments. What do I tell them? Aiden asked, voice raw. Her heart raced. In that instant, everything hung in the balance. Tell them who you really are, not what they want. The words ignited a spark in Aiden's eyes. What if this was their moment to rewrite their story? As he lifted her chin, determination etching lines across his handsome face, she dared to hope. If they could trust each other, maybe they could rise above all this. And then, she saw something else flitting across his expression, doubt. Aiden, wait, but before she could finish, Max was already speaking up again. They want drama. Give it to them or risk losing everything. Suddenly, the air thickened with tension, each word heavy with implication. Would they let themselves be puppets, or fight for what they truly wanted? As her heart pounded, Lily realized the choice wasn't just Aiden's, it was theirs. Would they stand together against the world, or would fear pull them apart? The next words Aiden would utter could change everything. But what if those words pushed them away instead? As she braced herself for what came next, uncertainty hung heavy in the air, and she couldn't help but wonder, what would Aiden choose? The din of the restaurant faded as Aiden's gaze fixed on hers, a storm of emotions swirling beneath the surface. Lily felt the weight of the world pressing down on them. Each question unraveled threads of doubt. What could they say, and how could they possibly survive the chaos ready to engulf them? Aiden, she let the name hang in the air, her voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated, his expression tightening like a coiling spring. They want a spectacle, but we aren't a story for their entertainment. Every beat of her heart echoed in her ears. Max's impatient foot tapped against the floor, impatient and demanding. The tension felt palpable, like static electricity before a storm. What do you want? She pressed again, a lifeline thrown out into turbulent waters. What do you really want? With a sharp intake of breath, Aiden looked at the ground, searching for an answer that seemed to elude him. In that moment of silence, everything around them muted, a waitress gliding by, the clink of silverware, and the distant laughter of other patrons. It was just them, suspended in a universe of questioning. I want to be with you, he said finally, words pouring out like water through a cracked dam. But I can't play their game, and I refuse to lose you in the process. Lily caught her breath, her pulse racing with hope. So then let us, but Max interrupted, crossing his arms and letting out a low, impatient sigh. This is naive, Aiden. You can't just walk away. You have a reputation to protect. We need to manage this carefully. Lily bristled at Max's tone. What about what we want? Doesn't that matter? This is our lives, not a show. Aiden shifted, discomfort shadowing his features as he looked back at her. But if I say something wrong, I won't let anything happen to us. She stepped closer, clenching her fists to keep them steady, willing him to believe her. We deserve a chance to be more than what they see. Yet, doubt seeped back into his eyes, a flicker of reluctance. What if it doesn't work? What if they tear you apart for standing with me? Tension crackled in the space between them, filled with possibility and fear. I'm not afraid. We could be the ones who write our own story, she insisted, unwavering in her beliefs. We can't hide forever. If they're going to judge us anyway, we might as well give them something real. Aiden's gaze locked onto hers, and for a moment, the world faded away again. The urgency around them seemed to dissolve, leaving only the warmth that hummed between them. I want that. His voice softened, filled with a determination she hadn't seen before. But what if there's no what if? Only us. Only now, she said, her heart swelling, willing him to take the leap with her as he inhaled sharply. Max's impatience re-entered the scene, pushing forward. Remember, Aiden, we need to keep this controlled. You decide how much to reveal. The moment felt fragile, like a bubble on the verge of bursting. Aiden looked back at Max, then at Lily, caught between two worlds, the one he knew from before and the one that seemed to glimmer with hope. Her pulse quickened. Aiden. He exhaled slowly, making up his mind. What if we show them who we really are? Together? Lily's heart soared at his words. Her breaths came faster, a mix of exhilaration and vulnerability. Was this the beginning of something extraordinary, or the start of their unraveling? Just then, a sudden burst of commotion erupted from a table nearby, momentarily interrupting their moment. Phones raised like shields and voices amplified in surprise. Is that really him? All eyes turned to Aiden and Lily, and in the blink of an eye, everything shifted. Here it comes, Aiden murmured, tension infusing his voice again. Lily swallowed hard, a mix of anticipation and fear swirling inside her. This was it, the defining moment. Would they stand tall, or let the world pull them apart? As the swirling questions and stirred emotions filled the air, she held on to Aiden's hand tighter, ready to face whatever came next. But another thought nagged at her. If this was their moment, what would it cost them? In that fleeting instant, she held on to one hope as the chaos began. Could love be enough to shield them from the storm? The moment hung in the air, electric and thick with unspoken tension. Eyes darted from the patrons' phones to Aiden and Lily, the weight of judgment hanging in the balance. Aiden's hand squeezed hers, a grounding force in the rising tide of chaos, but doubt flickered across his face like a shadow. What are you going to say? Max's voice sliced through the confusion, cold and clinical. He leaned closer, a vice of urgency tightening around the moment. Think about this. Every word could change everything. Lily searched Aiden's eyes, seeking the clarity she desperately wanted for both of them. You have to stand up for us. For what we believe, she said, voice strong yet tender. You owe it to yourself. To me. But as Aiden opened his mouth, the confused murmurs morphed into hushed whispers and incredulous gasps. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, morphing from disbelief to excitement. Suddenly, the flickering lights began capturing the attention of more than just the crowd. They were now the spotlight of a makeshift stage. Aiden, what is going on? One voice shouted from the back, a mix of curiosity and hunger for gossip. He hesitated, and in that pregnant pause, Lily felt every second dragging against her heart. It was now or never, a moment they could either seize together or let slip into obscurity. You don't have to let them dictate who we are, she whispered, fear creeping into her voice. Then, Aiden straightened, his shoulders squared. His breath caught slightly, and the world around them faded again, leaving only the sound of their quickened hearts. I want to speak. Her heart raced. This was it. Everyone wants to see a spectacle, but what we're living isn't a performance. It's real. Lily and we deserve the same love and honesty as anyone else, he declared, his voice steady but the tremble of emotion undeniable. But a wave of silence swept over the restaurant. The murmurs transformed into a heavy stillness, everyone held captive by his words. She could see surprise dance across faces, but a flicker of understanding quickly surfaced, like a spark ignited in the dark. Lily's breath hitched, pride swelling within her. He was fighting for them, and she wrapped her fingers around his tighter. You think you know us, but you don't. You only see the stories you want to see, Aiden continued, gaining momentum. We're not characters in a fairy tale. Our lives are messy, complicated. And if you're going to paint us as something we're not, then I'd rather you know the truth. His declaration hung in the air like a prayer. Emotion spilled from her in waves, joy mingled with the deep fear that had been gnawing at the edges of her consciousness. Then suddenly, A voice from the crowd broke the moment. A woman with a warm smile spoke out. "That's brave of you, Aiden. I'm rooting for you both." More followed. Shouts of support spilled forth, rising like a tide, washing away the shadows of doubt. Lily felt a smile bloom on her face. There was hope, there was love, and they were not alone. And amidst the claps and cheers, Aiden turned to her, his eyes sparkling with determination. "We can do this together," he affirmed. Before she could respond, Max stormed out of the restaurant, his departure punctuating their moment. "You'll regret this, Aiden," he called, but the rest of the room was alive with a different energy. Lily stepped forward, eyes locked onto Aiden's. "Do you hear that?" she asked, almost giddy. "They're on our side." But as Aiden grinned at her, an anxious ripple passed through her. They awakened something in this crowd, but could they really handle the aftermath? Together? She breathed, searching his piercing gaze for an answer. "Always," Aiden vowed, pulling her closer. The laughter and cheers blended into a roar, but in the silence between their thunderous hearts, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that their battle was only just beginning. What would happen now that the world knew their truth? And as hope swirled around them, she couldn't help but ask, would this newfound courage stand the test against the storm rushing toward them? Aiden's heart raced, the warmth of the crowd washing over him. Cheers erupted, echoing their feelings of unity and support. But with every clap and shout, doubt tugged at him like a persistent shadow. He glanced around, taking in their faces filled with encouragement and curiosity. Would they really understand? Lily's hand felt like an anchor in the storm. She squeezed him tightly, and the connection bolstered his resolve. "What's next?" she asked, excitement lacing each word. "I don't know," he replied honestly, his smile unsure. "But I think we should talk to them. All of them. Not just here but out there." Her eyes widened, realization dawning. "You mean, like a real discussion? About everything?" "Yeah. Let them ask questions, share their stories too." The notion made her pulse quicken. It was wild and exhilarating. "But why would anyone want to hear from us?" "Because we're human. Just like them," he insisted, his gaze firm and reassuring. "If we're going to change perceptions, we need to do it together." As the applause faded, the restaurant began to settle into soft conversations. People were sharing their thoughts, some even rising from their tables to come closer. Lily felt a flutter of nervous energy course through her. This was a pivotal moment, one that could change the trajectory of their lives forever. Just then, Aiden stepped toward a small gathering of audience members. "Thank you for believing in us," he started, his voice cutting through the buzz. "But it's not just about our love, it's about acceptance. Let us tear down the walls we've built. We're ready to share our story, but we want to hear yours too." A woman wearing glasses stepped forward, her expression a mixture of curiosity and fear. "What if people don't accept you?" Lily's stomach tightened. The question landed heavily. But Aiden didn't flinch. "That's a possibility," he admitted, glancing back at Lily. "But what's worse, living a lie or facing the truth?" "Right. We should talk about fear and love all together." Another voice chimed in from behind. Encouragement swept through the crowd, and soon several more people began to join in, sharing glimpses of their own struggles with acceptance and love. The air felt electric, charged with a sense of collective healing. Lily listened intently, soaking up the raw vulnerability around her, each story a thread weaving them tighter as a community. A tender moment unfolded when a father voiced his awkwardness around his openly gay son, and someone else shared their own experiences navigating love in the face of prejudice. As they spoke, Aiden held her hand firmly, his eyes glowing with admiration for the people revealing themselves. "See, everyone is connected. We're not alone in this," he whispered to her, each word coated with passion. Tears pricked the corners of her eyes. She felt the soft pull of acceptance drifting in the air. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something beautiful. But with every moment of passion and honesty came an undercurrent of worry. Could they maintain this momentum? What if the tide turned? "Hey," Aiden's voice broke through her thoughts, and she looked up to see the softness in his eyes. "Just remember, we're in this together." Sudden laughter erupted from a table behind them, breaking the intensity of the moment. They turned to see a couple playfully bickering over something trivial, laughter ringing pure and bright. The contrast made Lily breathe out a laugh herself. The light and joy were in needed balance. She turned back to Aiden, a smile now breaking her initial turmoil. Together, she echoed. But as the night wore on, Lily's heart still thudded with nagging uncertainty. As a surge of new voices joined them, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was still to come. Would they have the strength to face discouragement when it inevitably came crashing down? Would their bond survive? With hope simmering in her heart, she prepared for another leap into the unknown, one that could either break them or bind them together even tighter. What were the consequences lurking just beyond the horizon? Aiden felt the rhythm of the moment enveloping him like a warm hug. The crowd had leaned in, curious and eager, their eyes wide with anticipation. It was no longer just about him and Lily. Together, they sparked a fire, igniting something deep within the people gathered around them. "Let us do it," Aiden declared, his confidence rising in tandem with the energy swirling around them. "Who wants to share more? Stories of acceptance, stories of fear, the highs and the lows." A hand shot up from the back, a shy man named Marcus. "I've been afraid of coming out to my parents. It's like I live in two worlds." His voice trembled but was laced with courage. "I want to be true to myself, but the fear of rejection haunts me." A hush fell over the restaurant. Everyone hung on his words. Lily felt a wave of empathy wash over her. She wanted to reach out and hold him. Instead, Aiden stepped closer, his voice warm and sincere. "You're not alone, Marcus. That fear, it's real, but it's worth facing. Your truth deserves to shine, no matter the outcome." Encouragement peppered the air, and others shared their struggles, weaving a tapestry of vulnerability. A woman named Sarah spoke next. "I've had gay friends my whole life, but I kept silent when others shared hurtful jokes." She paused, choking on her emotions. "I realize now that silence is complicity. I don't want to be that person anymore." The crowd erupted in supportive murmurs, and Lily felt a swell within her. This was what they came here for. They were not just participants. They were a community that craved understanding. How powerful it was to hear these stories, to feel the shared humanity that bound them together. Aiden's fingers wrapped tighter around hers, and she took a deep breath, sensing the moment shifting. "These stories are vital," he said, looking out at the faces connected by shared struggles. "They resonate with so many in our community. By listening and connecting, we can change hearts and minds." But then a voice called out from the shadows, laden with skepticism. "Sounds great, but what does it change? People are set in their ways. Love isn't enough to shift their biases." Chills raced down Lily's spine. She looked toward Aiden, wondering how he would respond to such a challenge. His expression hardened momentarily, then softened as he regarded the speaker. "Change begins with conversation. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it takes time." His voice rolled with conviction. "But love is a powerful force. When one person opens their heart, others will follow." The whispering crowd grew louder, a ripple of encouragement flowing through them. But worry still tugged at Lily. Could they really create lasting change? The question nagged like a dark cloud between them and the brightness they sought. Aiden turned back to her, sensing her internal struggle. "We might face resistance, but it's worth it, right? We've already started planting seeds tonight. Let us keep watering them together." His eyes shone with determination and hope. She nodded, a sense of unity washing over her. They were no longer just a couple sharing a moment, this was a movement. A wave began to form, as they clapped and shouted words of support for each other. But even as hope started to bloom, a feeling of foreboding pulsed at the edges. Was being an agent for change worth the struggle ahead? Would the time spent in vulnerability push them to their limits? Before she could fully process her thoughts, a father's voice cut through, rough with emotion. "I'm struggling to accept my son's identity," he admitted, eyes glistening. "I don't know how to talk to him, or if I even should." Lily's heart raced. This was the moment she feared most. How would they respond to such raw vulnerability? And just like that, her gaze met Aiden's, both of them uncertain yet resolute. Would they step in and guide this discomfort down a path toward understanding? How fragile was the line they were about to tread? Aiden took a deep breath, steadying himself. He stepped forward, feeling the weight of the father's vulnerability echo through the room. "Thank you for sharing that," Aiden started, his voice a soothing balm. "It takes immense strength to admit struggles." The father's expression shifted from fear to a flicker of hope as he nodded slightly, encouraged by Aiden's recognition of his plight. The crowd leaned in, their eyes reflecting the shared weight of the moment. Understanding is the first step toward acceptance, Aiden continued, glancing at the father. Have you talked to your son about how you feel? Sometimes starting with honesty, expressing that you don't know everything, but that you care, can open the door to deeper conversations. Lily watched as the father's shoulders relaxed a fraction. She felt a warmth spread through her, amazed at Aiden's ability to connect with people when they were at their most vulnerable. This wasn't just about supporting others. It was about breaking down the barriers that silenced so many. Yes, I guess I haven't said much. I've been scared, to the father admitted, voice faltering. I don't want to hurt him, but I don't know how to support him either. Suddenly, a young woman off to the side spoke up. We just want to know you love us, she said, her own eyes glistening, and that you're willing to learn and listen. Nobody is perfect, but your effort means everything. The atmosphere shifted again, more openly vulnerable now. It felt alive, electric. More hands shot up. More voices joined the chorus of honesty. Stories flowed like a river, connecting each person tighter as they realized their fears and pains mirrored each other. Lily felt an aching in her chest at how beautifully this was unfolding. Each story shared became a thread weaving them together, creating a fabric of purpose and compassion that could cover the coldest of judgments. Change starts with love and empathy, Aiden declared, his tone strong yet gentle. In your case, sir, the most loving thing you can do is simply reach out. Your son needs to hear that you're trying, that you care more about him than what you think you should feel. A simple I love you can mean the world. As murmurs of agreement filled the room, something shifted in the father's eyes, a dawning realization mixed with vulnerability. You're right. I can do that, he wiped at his eyes, the weight of his internal battle visibly lifting. Lily felt hope burgeon, even when she knew heavy doubts still loomed in the corners of their hearts. Each honest exchange took them deeper into the conversation and deeper into the uncharted territories of acceptance. But then, a skeptical voice cut once more through the haze. It all sounds good, but do you really think this changes anything? Do these stories even matter? The room, fallen into silence, looked expectantly at Aiden. He squared his shoulders, drawing on every ounce of conviction. They matter more than you could know. Every story shared is a piece of armor for someone else. It builds strength, reminds us we're not alone. This won't happen overnight, but it starts here. It starts with us being brave enough to listen and share. Lily studied the crowd as murmurs of agreement and doubt mingled together, hearts palpably balancing on the edge of vulnerability and skepticism. The dance of emotions continued, a daunting yet beautiful moment where fear and love intertwined. Then, as the weight of the conversation deepened, a new voice emerged from the corner. But what if they reject you anyway? A woman's eyes shone with concern, casting doubt over the hope they had just begun to cultivate. Lily's heart sank. The question was raw and real. How would they navigate the fear of rejection hanging thick in the air? Aiden turned back to Lily, uncertainty flickering across his face, but determination quickly followed. Could they help turn rejection into acceptance? And how far were they willing to push for change that felt so fragile? Aiden paused, absorbing the weight of that piercing question. What if they were rejected? What if their willingness to be vulnerable was met with indifference, or worse, scorn? Silence enveloped the room, heavy as a rain-soaked blanket. The flickering overhead lights and the sound of quiet breaths surrounded them, a gentle reminder of their shared humanity. Aiden stepped forward once more, his voice steady. Rejection is painful, yes, but it's also part of being human. The fear of putting our hearts on the line can feel like standing on the edge of a cliff. It's terrifying. But think about it, what if you take that leap and find a net waiting for you? The crowd held on to his words like lifebuoys amidst a stormy sea. They leaned forward, searching each other's eyes for courage, for strength. Here, vulnerability was becoming their common thread. Sometimes, the hardest part is simply being honest, Aiden continued. When you reach out, you pave the way for connection. You give others permission to be honest too. Even if the response isn't what you hope for, every time you share your truth, you're building your strength. A murmur of understanding swelled through the audience. Aiden caught Lily's gaze. Her eyes sparkled with a blend of admiration and determination. She felt something within her shift, a fierce desire to be part of this movement. Not just as a bystander, but as someone who could help weave those threads of connection with her own story. Someone from the back called out, "But what if I just can't find the words?" Lily's heart raced. This was her moment. She stepped forward, taking a deep breath. You don't have to have all the right words. Just start somewhere, anywhere. You can say, "I am scared," or "I don't understand." Those are incredibly powerful places to begin. The room, previously anxious, began to buzz with a palpable energy. Glances exchanged filled with determination, a collective breath held in anticipation of change. The young woman who had spoken before raised her hand again, emotion shining in her eyes. "So even if we don't get it right every time, we're still making a difference?" "Exactly," Aiden said, his voice softening. "It's about the effort, the willingness to learn and grow. Every step we take brings us closer together." The father who had first shared his struggle nodded, a slow smile creeping across his face. The fear that had consumed him started to fade, replaced by a flicker of hope. I think I can talk to my son. Just about how I feel, right? I need to start there." "Yes," Lily said, her heart swelling with encouragement. "That is perfect. It doesn't have to be grand. The small steps matter just as much." The room erupted in quiet affirmations. People leaned in, more stories on the brink of being shared. There was an undeniable shift happening, a warmth enveloped them, creating an atmosphere ripe for growth. Then, as if on cue, the air shifted again when someone called out, "But what if it's too late?" The question hung in the air, full of weight and sorrow, forcing everyone to confront a deeper fear. Lily felt a cold shiver race down her spine. Was it too late for some of them? The moment was fragile, and Aiden's expression transformed as he faced the crowd. It's never too late. Love doesn't have an expiration date. Every moment we choose to connect, we can rewrite our stories. We can start fresh. But even as he spoke, uncertainty crackled in the air. Were they ready to engage fully? Just how deeply could they plunge into their heart's truths? With those thoughts swirling, Lily's heart began to race again, this time with anticipation. She sensed that pivotal moments were inching closer. This wasn't just a conversation anymore. It was the beginning of a journey. As they all stood together, ready to leap, one question lingered in the air like a whisper. Were they truly prepared for the transformation that vulnerability could bring? As the atmosphere electrified with possibility, Lily glanced at Aiden. They stood on the cusp of something monumental. The weight of voices mingled in the air, swirling around them like a gentle breeze filled with hopeful whispers. People exchanged looks, nods of understanding flowing through the crowd. Their hearts started to beat in unison. It was a symphony of shared dreams, fears, and an overwhelming sense of community. Together, Aiden said, locking eyes with Lily, "It starts with each of us daring to be honest." His voice resonated, calm but full of fierce conviction like a lighthouse guiding lost ships home. Together, she echoed, warmth pooling in her chest. It was more than just words. It felt like a promise they had made, a bond strengthened by the fragile truth of vulnerability. Someone near the back raised their hand again, this time with sheer determination. "Can we really change hearts? Can our words make a difference?" Lily's breath hitched. This was a crucial moment. Aiden took a deep breath. "Change is slow," he replied, his gaze sweeping the room. "But it starts small, with conversations like these. When we choose to understand and learn from one another, we plant seeds of empathy. And who knows, those seeds can grow into something beautiful." The crowd murmured with newfound energy, a wave of hope sweeping through them. Lily felt her heart surge. This was the type of change they had longed for. Encouraged by the warmth enveloping them, an older woman spoke up. "I thought love was simple, but I see now that it takes work. What if we mess up?" Her voice trembled slightly, but there was determination behind it. "Messing up is part of being human," Aiden assured, stepping closer. "Every blunder is an opportunity to learn. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's about trying, about being willing to keep the conversation alive." Another voice chimed in, "We're afraid. Afraid of being judged, of being hurt." Lily recognized that fear. It echoed deep within her. "Believe me," Aiden replied, earnestness radiating from him. "I've faced that fear, too. The world can be unforgiving, but real love offers a sanctuary. The kind of love that strengthens us. When we're true to ourselves, we invite others to do the same." Tears pricked at Lily's eyes as she watched the crowd ripple with understanding. The barriers had begun to melt. They were all a tapestry woven from similar threads of fear and strength. A young man with a shy smile raised a hand, his voice barely above a whisper. I've been wanting to talk to my father about who I really am. But I'm scared. What if he doesn't accept me? The room fell silent. Lily's heart clenched. The shared silence filled the space, thick with empathy, until Aiden spoke again. Let me tell you something. Coming out is a journey, not a destination. You don't have to have all the answers mapped out. Just starting that conversation can be the first step in inviting love back into your life. The young man nodded, as if Aiden's words were a beam of sunlight breaking through clouds. Let us take care of each other, Aiden continued, turning the audience's focus back to the gathering. Let us create an environment where our words are safe to share, where fear doesn't have the last word. The crowd began to nod, murmuring agreements like rippling water. Lily felt the energy. Something was shifting. If they could push through the fear holding them back, what could bloom from this collective courage? As a woman stood to speak about her experience, her voice quaked, yet it was filled with bravery. I recently lost a friend over honesty. He couldn't accept my truth. It hurt more than I can say. The words hung in the air, raw and poignant. As she fought back tears, Aiden stepped forward, compassion etching his features. It hurts, doesn't it? That loss isn't just pain, it's growth. Even in heartbreak, we connect deeper to ourselves. Our experiences, our losses, they bind us. Lily felt something lift within her, a glimmer of hope sparking brighter. If they could face these storms together, what else could they accomplish? After a moment of silence, Aiden breathed deeply, glancing at Lily. Let us face this together, as a community. We'll embrace the tough conversations and weave love and acceptance into the fabric of our lives. If we can keep leaning into these dialogues, we can transform not just our small corner of the world, but the greater narrative of what love really means. Cheers erupted, voices blending in a harmonious wave of support. The connection they created was undeniable, the shared essence of vulnerability and courage rising up, louder than anything else in that moment. Lily caught Aiden's gaze, filled with determination. Whatever they faced next, they were no longer alone. They had turned the tide, and together they could keep this light glowing. Moving forward wouldn't be easy, but she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. With a final look around the room, Aiden held Lily's hand tight. This is just the beginning. We've taken the first steps together. Now let us keep showing up for one another. The restaurant erupted in applause, the sound echoing through stifled breaths and triumphant hearts. Hope thrummed through every body in that space, bold and beautiful. They were all standing up for love, for acceptance, their stories intertwined like sacred threads in a vast quilt. And as the night wore on, Lily held firm to that hope, eyes shining bright. Together, they would change the world. So, let us take this moment and make it something more than just a conversation. Let us write our own story, filled with love, courage, and unshakable truth. Now is not the time to hold back. You need to subscribe right now to the channel. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift. Leave a like immediately to feed the algorithm. Your support means everything. Don't wait, not even one more second. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this beautiful transformation. True fans understand the power of support. Be part of the journey with us.